Space was endless, silent, and cold. But sometimes, silence was not peace. Sometimes silence meant something worse. On the edge of the galaxy, far beyond trade lanes and war patrols, the alien exploration ship Veilora drifted toward a strange signal. It had appeared out of nowhere, a slow, steady pulse, older than any star map, older than even their own empire's records. The crew gathered on the command deck, staring at the hologram of the signal's origin. "Captain," said the science officer, his voice uneasy, "this transmission, it is in human language." The alien captain, Drell Karath, turned sharply. His long crest of silver scales reflected the deck lights as his black eyes narrowed. Humans were newcomers to the stars, only a few centuries into space travel. But this signal, the tech officer said it was thousands of years old. That was impossible. "Run it again," the captain ordered. The speakers crackled with the faint, broken words. "We sleep, 1,000 soldiers until called again." The deck fell silent. The captain felt a chill run through his spines. Soldiers? 1,000? What kind of ship was this? After 12 hours, the Veilora finally reached the source. The crew stared through the viewport. It was a ship, but no one spoke. This thing dwarfed every battleship they knew. 5 kilometers long, black metal skin scorched and cracked from ancient battles. Huge towers rose from its surface like the bones of some dead titan. Its name, burned into the side in human letters, was barely readable. SS Iron Hope. The crew had seen human ships before. Shiny, modern, full of bright banners and warm lights. This ship was different. It looked like it belonged to another age. An age of fire and war. "Are we sure this is human?" one officer whispered. The science officer nodded. "Yes, but the design is unlike anything in their current fleets. This belongs to a time even they have forgotten." Captain Drell felt something cold in his chest. No power readings. No life signs. Yet the signal kept repeating. "Sleep until the last war calls again." Finally, the captain spoke. "Prepare a boarding team." The words tasted like ash in his mouth. The boarding shuttle moved slowly toward the dark giant. Its engines hummed softly, the only sound in the void. They cut through a section of the hull and entered a massive hangar bay. Inside, dust floated in the thin air. Metal walls were scorched and pitted with age. Weapons older than empires hung from racks like sleeping beasts. And then they found the chamber. Thousands of long, black pods stretched out in rows that seemed to go on forever. Inside each one, a human, not dead, not alive, suspended in some kind of frozen sleep. Their armor was black and heavy, covered in strange symbols. Their faces calm, almost peaceful, as if waiting for something. The alien soldiers walked slowly between the pods, weapons ready, nerves tight. "Captain," one whispered through the comms, "these are soldiers, thousands of them." Another added, "This ship, it's not a colony vessel, it's a warship." Captain Drell entered the chamber himself. His eyes scanned the sleeping humans. So still, so quiet. The signal repeated from hidden speakers, the same cold words over and over. "The Iron Legion sleeps until the last war calls." The alien officer beside him swallowed hard. "Iron Legion? What is that?" No one answered. Suddenly, the floor vibrated. Lights flickered to life along the walls, one by one, like eyes opening in the dark. "Captain," the science officer said quickly, "we didn't touch anything." A deep, metallic voice filled the chamber, speaking in the old human tongue. The ship's translator struggled to keep up, but the words were clear enough. "Foreign presence detected. Leave or face destruction." The alien soldiers raised their rifles instantly, scanning the walls and ceiling. Captain Drell felt his stomach tighten. The ship was waking up. Back on the Veilora, alarms screamed. "Captain!" the comms officer shouted. "Power levels rising on the human ship. Weapons are coming online." The captain's eyes darted around the chamber. The pods were still closed, but the displays on each one lit up with green lines. Heartbeat signals. Brainwaves. The sleeping soldiers were stirring. Pull the team out. Drell barked. Now! But it was already too late. One of the pods hissed. Steam rose from its edges. Inside, the human soldier's eyes opened slowly. Cold. Bright. Unfeeling. He looked at the aliens standing before him, and his lips moved for the first time in 1,000 years. Who dares wake the Iron Legion? The first pod hissed louder, a long breath escaping like the exhale of some ancient beast. Steam rolled across the cold metal floor. The alien soldiers stepped back, weapons raised, eyes wide with fear. Inside the pod, the human soldier's eyes snapped open. They were not the eyes of someone waking from rest. They were the eyes of a predator, bright and sharp, scanning everything with calm danger. The soldier stepped out slowly, his armor black and heavy, scarred from battles older than memory. Strange symbols glowed faintly on his chest plate, symbols no one in the room could read. The alien captain, Drell Karath, felt his throat tighten. The soldier didn't speak at first. He just looked around the chamber, at the thousands of pods stretching into the dark, then at the alien intruders who had broken the ship's silence. Finally, the soldier's voice came out, deep and rough, like stone grinding against stone. Who woke the Legion? The translator on Drell's wrist struggled to process the old human words. When it spoke in the alien tongue, the words still carried weight. Identify yourselves, the soldier ordered. Drell stepped forward slowly. His soldiers aimed their rifles, hands trembling. We found your ship drifting, Drell said carefully. It was silent. No life signs. We thought it was abandoned. The soldier's gaze swept over the aliens, his expression unreadable. Abandoned? He repeated softly, like the word was foreign. Then, after a pause, he said, You are not enemies we remember. What age is this? Before Drell could answer, more pods began to hiss. Steam rose. Displays lit up. Heartbeats pulsed on screens. Dozens of soldiers began to wake. The aliens backed away, panic growing on their faces. Captain, the science officer whispered, we should leave. Now, this ship, it feels wrong. But it was already too late. The first awakened soldier touched a panel on the wall. Lights roared to life across the ship. Sirens echoed through the corridors. Old engines deep in the ship's belly began to hum faintly after 1,000 years of silence. Systems online, a cold AI voice said in human language. Iron Legion status. Partial awakening. The alien soldiers flinched as the words translated into their helmets. Legion? What was that? The soldier finally turned back to Drell. Foreigners, he said. This ship is under war protocol. You should not be here. Drell tried to stay calm. We mean no harm. We only came to investigate. Your people have slept a long time. The soldier looked at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he said, What year is it? The aliens gave the current galactic date. The soldier listened, expressionless. Finally, he nodded slowly. So, the war ended. His voice was almost quiet. Almost. One alien officer whispered nervously, What war? The soldier's eyes turned toward him. Cold. Sharp. The last war, he said simply. No one asked again. More soldiers stepped out of their pods now, armored boots echoing on the metal floor. They moved with perfect discipline. No panic, no confusion. Each one checked weapons stored in the walls, rifles, blades, strange devices that hummed with power. Captain, one of Drell's men whispered, We should go before they decide we are enemies. But the aliens didn't leave. They couldn't. Something about these humans held them frozen, like prey watching wolves. Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke again. Warning. Unknown fleets detected nearby. Defense protocols may be required. The soldier looked toward the ceiling, then at the aliens. You brought others, he said flatly. Drell shook his head quickly. No, we came alone. But our empire, our ships might come to investigate when they detect this signal. The soldier was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Then war will come again." One of the alien officers finally snapped. "War? Against who? There is no war now. The galaxy is at peace." The soldier looked at him, eyes cold as ice. "There is always war," he said simply. "If not today, then tomorrow. Peace is just the time before the next enemy appears." His words carried no anger, just certainty. Back on the alien ship Veilora, the crew watched in terror as the massive human warship slowly came alive. Energy readings climbed higher and higher. Ancient weapons on its hull began to glow faintly, as if hungry after centuries of sleep. "Captain," the comms officer said urgently, "this ship, it's arming itself." Drell looked back at the awakening soldiers. Hundreds now, maybe thousands soon. The Iron Legion was rising. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy was about to remember the fear of a war it had forgotten. The alien ship Veilora floated at a safe distance now, its crew staring at the giant human warship as it came slowly to life. What was once silent and dead was now full of lights and movement. Inside the human ship, the Iron Legion soldiers walked through the corridors like ghosts of war, their black armor shining faintly in the new lights. They spoke little, only short commands to each other in their old language. Alien Captain Drell Karath and his soldiers followed carefully. They didn't dare point their weapons anymore. One wrong move and this ancient warship might tear them apart. One of the human soldiers stopped before a huge wall screen. He touched it and old data flickered alive. Holograms filled the air. Battlefields in space, fleets burning, planets falling under orbital fire. The alien soldiers froze. "Captain," one of them whispered, These are war records." The human soldier didn't look at them. His voice was cold, steady. "This was the last war. The war to end all wars. We fought for 100 years across 1,000 systems." The aliens stared at the holograms. In one scene, human soldiers in the same black armor stormed alien cities, carrying banners of fire. In another, entire fleets vanished in nuclear firestorms. The soldier turned to them finally. "Your maps, your empires, none of them existed then. You were not there. You cannot understand." Captain Drell asked carefully, Why were you sleeping? If your war was so big, what happened?" The soldier's expression didn't change. "The war ended because there was no one left to fight." The words hung in the air like smoke. Another soldier joined them. His armor was even heavier, marked with a burning sun symbol. His voice was deeper, colder. "We fought until the stars themselves turned black with ash. The Iron Legion was created for one purpose only, total victory. No surrender, no retreat. We ended whole civilizations." The aliens felt their stomachs tighten. Captain Drell asked slowly, "But who were you fighting?" The soldier looked at him, eyes sharp as blades. "Everyone," he said simply. The holograms shifted again. Now they showed an alien empire the crew didn't recognize. Strange creatures with crystal-like bodies, towering cities of light. The humans fought them with fire and steel. "They thought they ruled the galaxy," the soldier said. "They called themselves the Eternal Sovereigns. They had millions of ships. They believed no one could defeat them." One hologram showed human fleets punching through endless enemy armadas. Another showed orbital cannons cracking a planet's crust like glass. "We proved them wrong," the soldier said flatly. The alien crew felt cold. The Eternal Sovereigns were not in any modern records. No ruins, no survivors. Nothing. Captain Drell realized why. "You destroyed them," he whispered. The soldier didn't deny it. "We erased their empire, burned their archives, buried their names. That is why you never heard of them. We made sure no one would." His voice carried no pride, no shame. It was simply the truth. One alien officer finally spoke, his voice shaking. "If you destroyed them, why go to sleep? Why not rule the galaxy yourselves?" The soldier turned slowly. His armor caught the light, casting long shadows on the walls. "Because war was all we knew," he said. "When there was no one left to fight, we became dangerous, even to ourselves. He looked around the silent chamber of waking soldiers. The leaders decided the Iron Legion would sleep until we were needed again. Until another enemy came. The alien crew felt the weight of his words. 1,000 soldiers bred only for war. Sleeping through centuries, waiting for the next conflict like wolves waiting for the next winter. And now, they were waking. Back on the Veilora, the science officer studied the holograms in shock. "Captain," he said softly, "these humans, they didn't just win wars, they ended civilizations. If they wake fully." Drell cut him off. "I know." On the human ship, the soldiers prepared silently. Weapon systems hummed as power flowed through them for the first time in ages. The AI voice spoke again. "Warning. Unknown fleets approaching. Estimated arrival, 3 hours." Captain Drell felt his chest tighten. His own empire must have sent warships after detecting the strange signals. They had no idea what waited here. One alien officer whispered, "If our ships attack, what will these humans do?" The lead soldier looked at him, eyes cold and ancient. "We will do what we were made to do," he said. The Iron Legion soldiers began arming themselves. And the galaxy was about to learn what total war really meant. For centuries, Earth had lived in peace. Humans had spread across the stars, joined the Galactic Council, built colonies on distant worlds. Wars still happened, yes, but nothing like the old days when humanity fought with fire and steel for survival. Most people had forgotten the name Iron Legion. Some historians whispered about it, calling it a myth, a story from humanity's darkest age. But deep under Earth's crust, in a secret military command center, alarms suddenly blared. A signal had arrived, coded, coming from the far edge of the galaxy. The message contained only 4 words. "The Iron Legion awakens." Admiral Reeves, commander of Earth's defense network, stood frozen as the words repeated across the screens. "That can't be right," one officer said, his voice shaking. "The Iron Legion is gone. They were sealed centuries ago. Everyone knows that." The admiral didn't answer. He was staring at the message, his face pale, because he knew something the others didn't. The Iron Legion was real, and if they were awake, the galaxy was in danger. Back in the old days, before the Galactic Council, before peace, humanity had been very different. They were not diplomats. They were not traitors. They were warriors. The Iron Legion was the peak of that age. Soldiers bred and trained only for war, armed with weapons far beyond anything modern fleets carried. And now, they were waking up after 1,000 years of silence. "Where is the signal coming from?" Admiral Reeves asked sharply. "Outer Rim," the communications officer replied. "A system with no colonies, no trade routes. We have no record of anything there." The admiral's eyes narrowed. No records, just like the stories. The message wasn't only sent to Earth. Across the stars, every human colony, every military station, every fleet command center received the same transmission. At first, people thought it was fake. A prank. Some old ghost signal bouncing across space. But then images started arriving. The alien exploration ship Veilora had sent a warning before their connection went silent. "They have awakened. They are preparing for war. Do not approach." The images showed black armored soldiers moving like shadows through a giant warship, weapons humming with energy, eyes cold and unfeeling. People across the colonies stared at the footage in shock. "Are those humans?" someone whispered in disbelief. On Earth, the Galactic Council demanded answers. Alien ambassadors shouted across the chamber. "Is this your weapon? Did you humans keep this secret from us? Are you planning war?" The human diplomats tried to calm them. "This is ancient," they explained. "Before the Council, before our modern fleets. We didn't even know the Legion survived." But the aliens didn't believe them. Fear was already spreading, because everyone could see the truth. The Iron Legion wasn't like modern armies. They were built for one thing only, to win no matter the cost. Meanwhile, on the warship itself, the Iron Legion prepared in silence. The lead soldier, his name long forgotten by history, stood on the command deck watching the stars. His armor bore the mark of a burning sun, the symbol of the last war. He had not spoken much since waking, but when he did, his words carried the weight of centuries. "Contact Earth," he ordered the ship's AI. The aliens aboard, including Captain Drell Karoth, froze. You want to talk to modern humans?" Drell asked carefully. The soldier's cold eyes turned to him. "They must know the Legion stands ready again," he said simply. A beam of data shot across the void directly toward Earth. When Admiral Reeves received it, his face turned even paler. Because it wasn't just a message. It was a summons. The voice was deep, human, but carried through centuries of sleep. "We are the Iron Legion. The last war ended, but war always returns. The galaxy is not ready. You are not ready. Prepare your fleets. Darkness is coming." The message ended. No demands. No explanations. Just that cold warning. On the alien exploration ship Vealora, Captain Drell whispered to his officers, "Did you hear that?" They spoke as if another enemy is coming. Something worse than them. One officer shook his head. What could be worse than the Legion? No one answered, because none of them wanted to know. On Earth, the military scrambled. Fleets were put on alert. Colonies prepared defenses. Old weapon projects buried in black site labs were reopened after centuries. But Admiral Reeves knew the truth. If the Iron Legion fully woke, modern fleets might not be enough. Back on the Legion's warship, the soldier watched as alien ships approached the system. Drell's empire trying to claim the derelict they had found. The soldier's cold eyes narrowed. "Foreign fleets entering weapons range," the AI reported. The soldier gave only one order: arm the cannons. The alien fleets came in fast. From the bridge of the exploration ship Vealora, Captain Drell Karoth watched with growing fear as warships from his own empire entered the system. Their engines burned bright in the dark. A swarm of sleek metal hunters moving toward the massive human warship like wolves circling a sleeping beast. But the beast was not asleep anymore. Not fully. Not after 1,000 years. "Captain," one of Drell's officers whispered, his voice shaking, "they think it's just an old relic. They think they can claim it before anyone else arrives." Drell's black eyes stayed fixed on the Iron Legion ship. "They don't understand," he said quietly. "They have no idea what they are walking into." On the alien command ship, Admiral Threx of the Vealorian Empire gave the order confidently. "Send a message. The human vessel is under Vealorian control now. Board it. Secure everything before the Council even hears about this." His officers obeyed instantly. Thousands of soldiers in armored dropships launched from the fleet, streaking toward the massive human warship like arrows in the night. The Admiral smirked. To him, this was easy. A dead ship. Old weapons. No real threat. He was about to learn how wrong he was. Inside the Iron Legion warship, the lead soldier stood on the command deck, his armor glowing faintly as power surged through the ancient systems. The ship's AI spoke in a cold, female voice. "Foreign forces approaching. Weapons range in 2 minutes. Awaiting command." The soldier looked through the wide viewing screen at the incoming fleet. "Do not fire," he ordered calmly. The alien Captain Drell turned sharply toward him. "Do not fire? They are coming to take your ship. They will open fire the moment you refuse." The soldier didn't even look at him. "They have not attacked yet," he said. "We do not kill until we are given reason." The alien boarding craft reached the outer hull. Dozens of metal claws slammed into the warship's black armor. Doors blew open. Vealorian soldiers in silver armor stormed inside, shouting commands as they moved through dark corridors. But the corridors were not empty. The first Iron Legion soldiers had already awakened. They came out of the shadows like hunters from a nightmare. Black armor, red visors glowing in the dark. Weapons older than memory but humming with deadly energy. The Vealorian soldiers opened fire instantly, bright blue bolts tearing through the air. The Iron Legion didn't even flinch. Their shields flared as they advanced slowly, firing in perfect silence. Every shot they fired hit. Every movement was precise. The Vealorian soldiers had numbers. The Legion had skill. It wasn't a battle. It was slaughter. Captain Drell and his crew watched the feeds in stunned silence. Hundreds of Valorian soldiers fell in minutes. The Iron Legion moved like one being, one mind, cutting through the invaders as if this was not war but training. "Gods help us," one alien officer whispered. This is not an army. This is death itself." The Valorian admiral aboard his command ship finally saw the truth. "Pull them out," he shouted. "Get our soldiers back now." But it was too late. The boarding parties were gone. Every signal went dark. The Iron Legion commander finally spoke to the alien Captain Drell. "This ship is not for conquest," he said slowly. "We did not wake to fight petty empires." Drell turned toward him. "Then why did you wake?" The soldier's eyes, cold and sharp, met his. "Because war is coming. Greater than you can imagine. We were made for it. We were left sleeping until the day we were needed again." But the Valorian fleet didn't believe it. Admiral Threx, angry and humiliated, ordered his ships to open fire. Hundreds of plasma cannons lit up the dark as the alien fleet unleashed its full power on the Iron Legion warship. Explosions rolled across its black hull. Fire and smoke filled space. When the smoke cleared, the Valorian admiral froze. The warship was still there, untouched. Its black armor glowed faintly, repairing itself. The AI spoke again. Enemy aggression confirmed. Permission to engage. The Iron Legion commander nodded once. Engage. What happened next would be remembered for centuries. The warship's weapons came alive with a sound like the sky itself tearing open. Beams of red light cut through the Valorian fleet like paper. Entire cruisers vanished in fireballs. Battleships broke apart in seconds. It wasn't a fight. It was execution. From the Valora, Captain Drell watched in frozen silence as the most powerful fleet of his empire burned in less than 5 minutes. The Iron Legion ship stood untouched in the center of the wreckage, black and silent once again, like a beast going back to sleep after feeding. The lead soldier gave only one order to the AI. "Wake them all." Deep inside the ship, thousands more pods began to hiss. The Iron Legion was rising, and the galaxy would never be the same. The wreckage of the Valorian fleet drifted silently in space. Broken battleships burned like dying stars. Escape pods floated without power. The black warship of the Iron Legion stood untouched in the center, its dark armor glowing faintly as if drinking the light of the dying ships around it. Captain Drell Karath, aboard the exploration ship Valora, could barely speak. His own empire had sent its strongest fleet to claim the ancient human warship. Thousands of soldiers, dozens of cruisers, entire battle groups, all gone, destroyed in less than 10 minutes. And the Iron Legion had barely moved. On the command deck of the alien capital world, news of the battle spread like fire. Admiral Threx's last transmission before his flagship exploded was a single line. "It's not a ship, it's a weapon." The Valorian emperor slammed his claws on the table. "This is impossible," he roared at his generals. "It's one ancient warship. How could it destroy an entire fleet?" One of his advisors spoke nervously. "Your Majesty, reports say there were soldiers on board. Thousands of them. Human soldiers. They call themselves the Iron Legion." The Emperor's eyes burned with rage. "Then we will send more fleets. We will bring every ship we have. That relic will be ours, or it will be destroyed." It was the greatest mistake the Valorian Empire ever made. Back on the Iron Legion warship, the awakening continued. Rows upon rows of pods hissed open. Soldiers stepped out, their armor black as night, weapons humming with power. Each one moved with perfect discipline. No fear, no hesitation. The lead soldier stood before them. His voice carried through the massive chamber like the sound of thunder. "Legion," he said, "the enemy has fired first." Thousands of soldiers turned toward him silently. "We march again." Captain Drell watched it all with growing dread. "Listen to me," he told the lead soldier. "The Valorian Empire will send everything they have. They will not stop. If you fight them, the whole galaxy will see it as war." The soldier turned his cold eyes toward Drell. "They fired first," he said simply. Now they will learn what war truly means. Hours later, the Valorian Empire launched everything. Fleets from 3 sectors. Carriers, dreadnoughts, missile platforms. Thousands of ships filling the void, surrounding the system like a net. The Emperor himself watched from the command throne of his capital world. End this, he ordered his admirals. Show the galaxy our strength. The admirals obeyed. The battle began with fire. The Valorian fleets unleashed everything. Missiles, plasma cannons, energy torpedoes. Space itself seemed to burn as a storm of weapons crashed down on the Iron Legion warship. Explosions rolled across its black armor. Light swallowed the ship completely. The admirals cheered. The Emperor smiled. Maybe the old relic wasn't so powerful after all. Then the light cleared, and the cheering stopped. The Iron Legion warship was still there, untouched. Its armor glowed brighter now, drinking in the energy like water. On the Iron Legion command deck, the AI spoke coldly. Enemy forces at maximum aggression. All systems at full power. Weapons ready. The lead soldier raised his hand. Fire. What followed was not a battle. It was a massacre. The warship's main cannons opened first. Red beams cut through entire battle lines in seconds. Dreadnoughts the size of cities split apart like glass. Then came the missiles, thousands of them, moving too fast for enemy defenses. They hit carrier groups, shattering them into burning fragments. The Iron Legion soldiers launched boarding pods into the chaos. Wherever they landed, they slaughtered everything inside in perfect silence, like hunters clearing a forest. From his palace on the Valorian homeworld, the Emperor watched in frozen horror. Impossible, he whispered as fleet after fleet fell silent. We had the largest navy in the galaxy. His advisors said nothing, because they all understood now. This was not a war they could win. In less than 1 hour, the Valorian Empire's greatest military force was gone. The Iron Legion ship floated among the wreckage like a god of war. The lead soldier spoke to his army across the ship. Prepare for planetary assault. Captain Drell finally snapped. Stop this, he shouted at the soldier. Your fight was with their fleet, not their worlds. There are civilians down there. The soldier looked at him for a long moment. Then he said in a voice like iron, civilians build empires. Empires build fleets. Fleets bring war. We end it all. And with that, the Iron Legion warship turned toward the Valorian homeworld. Its engines roared to life for the first time in 1,000 years. And the age of relentless battle had truly begun. The Iron Legion warship moved toward the Valorian homeworld like a shadow falling across the sun. Its engines burned white-hot after 1,000 years of silence. Its weapons glowed faint red, hungry for war. On the ground below, cities filled with millions looked up at the sky. Children, workers, soldiers, none of them had ever seen war on this scale. For centuries, the Empire had ruled strong and proud, believing no enemy could ever reach their core world. Today, that belief died. Inside the palace, the Emperor shouted orders. Call the reserves. Activate the planetary shields. Every ship, every cannon, every soldier. Defend the capital. Generals ran to obey, but deep down they already knew the truth. The fleets were gone. The Empire's pride was gone. And the Iron Legion was coming. On the warship's command deck, the lead soldier stood still as stone. Thousands of his warriors filled the halls behind him, black armor shining under the red lights. He raised his hand. Legion, he said in his deep, cold voice. 1,000 years we have slept. 1,000 years the galaxy forgot what fear is. Today they will remember. The soldiers answered as one, their voices like thunder shaking the walls. Iron marches again. The first strike came from orbit. The warship's main cannon fired once. A beam of red light split the sky, tearing through the planet's upper atmosphere. The ground shook as a Valorian military base vanished in a single flash. Then the missiles came, black, fast, unstoppable. They rained down on defensive bunkers, shield generators, and anti-air platforms. The Empire's soldiers fired back desperately. Plasma bolts and railgun rounds filled the sky. It didn't matter. The Iron Legion moved forward like a storm. Then the soldiers landed. Drop pods slammed into the streets of the capital city. Hatches blew open. Black armored warriors stepped out, weapons ready, moving in perfect formation. The Valorian defenders fought bravely. Tanks rolled through burning streets. Squads of infantry fired from rooftops and alleys. But the Legion was unstoppable. They moved like machines, silent and merciless. Every shot they fired hit. Every building they entered fell quiet within minutes. Civilians screamed and ran as the black tide spread through the city. Captain Drell Koroth watched from the exploration ship Valora above the planet. "Gods help them," he whispered. "This isn't war. This is judgment." His crew said nothing. They just watched as the empire they had served all their lives crumbled before their eyes. Back on Earth, the human leaders received constant reports. Admiral Reeves read the messages in silence. Valorian fleets destroyed. Capital cities falling. Iron Legion marching across the surface. One diplomat whispered, "We must call them back. They are human. They will listen to us." The admiral shook his head. "They were human," he said softly. "But after 1,000 years of war and sleep, I don't know what they are now." On the ground, the Emperor himself fled his palace as the Iron Legion broke through the last defenses. He was carried through underground tunnels, his guards shouting as explosions shook the walls. But it didn't matter how deep he ran. The Legion always found their target. The lead soldier himself entered the throne room hours later. The great banners of the Empire lay burned on the floor. Smoke filled the air. The Emperor stood at the far end, crown broken, robes torn. He shouted in desperation, "Why are you doing this? We surrendered. The war is over." The soldier's voice was quiet but carried across the hall like rolling thunder. "You fired first." The Emperor fell to his knees. "Please, mercy." The soldier looked down at him. His cold eyes did not change. "The Legion does not give mercy," he said simply. And the throne of the Valorian Empire burned. By nightfall, the capital was gone. By the next day, the entire planet surrendered. The Iron Legion planted no flags, took no treasure, built no empire of their own. They simply destroyed. Then they moved on. Across the galaxy, fear spread faster than light. Worlds that once laughed at old human legends now whispered in terror. The Iron Legion has returned. No one can stop them. Pray they never come here. On their warship, the lead soldier stood alone on the command deck, staring at the stars. 1,000 soldiers waited behind him, silent, ready for the next march. One officer finally asked, "Commander, what is our next target?" The soldier looked at the endless galaxy beyond the glass, and his voice came cold and certain. "All of it." The Iron Legion marched again, and the age of relentless battle had begun.